So, have you ever heard the argument that if XRP ever goes to 100 or even $1,000, there won't be enough liquidity, everybody would sell, the price would collapse? Well, guess what? I'm about to show you how that's all wrong. Because technically, if adoption of XRP happens the way we suspect it may, then every single person in the world can sell all their XRP at 1,000 or 100 or even 10,000. But to understand what I'm going to explain, you'll need to understand liquidity pools. And simply put, a liquidity pool is a shared pot of tokens, like XRP and USDC, that sit there so people can instantly swap from one to the other without having to post and wait for a buyer and seller. It just speeds up and automates the buying and selling of assets. While XRP uses liquidity pools all over the place, Ripple also provides a service for institutions called on-demand liquidity, or ODL. And with this ODL system, XRP is and will be bought and sold instantly for each transaction, creating what's been playfully referred to as infinite liquidity. So you make a transaction with XRP and it's reused 5 seconds later for a different transaction. So the same token of XRP can process hundreds of transactions in a single day. Now imagine Ripple's ODL scales to even 10% of Swift's volume in cross-border payments. The DTCC utilizes XRP as well as other institutions and derivatives all happening at once. So massive adoption's happening. All of the institutions that don't custody their own XRP, they would be using ODL for their transactions, instantly buying XRP and instantly selling it off for each transaction, which is the core of ODL. So if XRP hits $100 or $1,000 and retail sells off, the institutions will keep buying and selling, not to hold, but to use. That's what creates this continuous liquidity. So you have to imagine 100 million transactions all happening in the same day under massive adoption. And every single transaction is constantly buying and selling massive amounts of XRP and selling off massive amounts of XRP to handle these transactions that they're sending across chain. That's infinite liquidity. Plus, add in automated market makers and Ripple's liquidity hub, and now you've got a liquidity on tap 24/7. And as a side note, institutions have two options with XRP liquidity. They can use ODL, where they buy and sell instantly, but get charged an exchange fee, or they can own their own XRP and custody it and use it for liquidity. This allows institutions to create their own liquidity pools. Amendment XLS30, for example. Now, how can they do this? They custody their XRP, and Ripple just so happens to own Medico and standard custody, companies in which institutions can custody their crypto with Ripple. The pieces are really coming together, aren't they? Like, it's all making sense now why Ripple has Medico and standard custody. They have been planning for this. So just imagine it. In a future where ODL is deeply embedded into the global finance, XRP liquidity becomes flow utility, not a storage utility. Retail could exit entirely. Yet ODL liquidity would persist because the system reuses XRP constantly, like a circulating bloodstream. But just to clarify, there's still no way that 5 trillion in fiat could meet retail XRP all at once. ODL isn't technically infinite liquidity in the fantasy sense. It is functionally infinite because the system recycles assets. It's high velocity, not unlimited depth. I hope that's clear. The infinite ODL liquidity is about recycling XRP really fast. It's not about instantly absorbing a multi-trillion-dollar sell-off. So obviously, if XRP went to $1,000 and the whole world tried to sell at the same time, that might definitely clog some things up. But if retail sells at a normal, reasonable rate, that volume would easily be absorbed into the XRP bloodstream as retail cashes in their gains. And before you try to pipe into my comments and say ODL is for institutional usage, not retail exit liquidity, my answer to that is that Ripple's been making it clear that it is working toward a unified liquidity framework. A real example is that they're connecting their Prisma aggregator to XLS30, the on-chain automated market maker. That means their ODL, liquidity hub, and even retail DeFi pools will eventually meet the same liquidity system.
Been investigating using DEX services for ODL, and that would include being able to trade against AMMs. That doesn't currently happen. Prisma can use DEX liquidity. Prisma can also use multiple exchange liquidity, and it can break It can break large transactions into smaller transactions. It can aggregate them to sort of more intelligently take advantage of liquidity. So that's what Prisma does. We have started a major effort to integrate DEX use into ODL.
So if you weren't bullish before, you better be now. Wealth, love, and authenticity to you all.